April 12th will of course be UFC 314, where Alexander Volkanovski, the former featherweight world champion, will take on Diego Lopes, the number 3 ranked contender for the vacant UFC featherweight world title. Now, of course, the reason why it's vacant is Topuria vacated it, most likely to get a Islam Makhachev fight at lightweight. So now these people are fighting for the vacant title. Now, of course, Volkanovski is coming off of his knockout loss to Ilia Topuria, and Diego Lopes is coming off of the best win of his career against Brian Ortega. Obviously, the momentum favors Lopes, but besides that, you have the co-main event, Iron Michael Chandler versus Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. It's a pretty good fight. Obviously, Paddy the Baddy Pimblett is 22-3, 6 wins by way of knockout, 10 submissions, and 6 decisions. Obviously, well-rounded, slightly favoring submission game. 3 losses, 1 by submission and 2 by decision. Now, of course, his losses are not from the UFC, so technically he is undefeated in the company. And the 1 submission loss was his first ever loss back in 2013, so obviously it's been quite a bit of time. And his last loss was in 2018, so once again, pretty long ago. But besides that, he is coming off of his submission win against Bobby Green in the very first round, where, to be honest, I thought Bobby Green would do better on the feet, but he didn't, and he instantly went for a takedown and got submitted. So, yeah, that's about it. Green made a mistake. It got submitted. He then beat Tony Ferguson by decision, which would have been a good win like 10 years ago, but technically a good win to prove his striking, because before that he won against Jared Gordon, where literally no one had him winning. Yeah, he got pretty badly beaten on the feet by Gordon. So that's very interesting considering the fact he's taking on Iron Michael Chandler, the explosive striker. Of course, Chandler is 23-9, 11 wins by way of knockout, 7 submissions, and 5 decisions. Once again, slightly well-rounded fighter, obviously favoring his knockout power. 9 losses, 4 by KO, 1 by submission, and 4 by decision. Now, of course, ever since entering the UFC, he is 2-4, beating only Dan Hooker and Tony Ferguson. Now, to be honest, he beat them by knockout, so it is something to talk about, considering he beat Tony Ferguson 3 years ago. So it's still not it was like kind of the start of the descent of Ferguson. So I don't know if it was really a good win. I mean, he was dropped in the fight, but he did knock him out, so it was very interesting. Of course, he also beat Benson Henderson in Bellator. So obviously, he has some good wins, kind of, but considering he's 2-4 in the UFC. But then again, we also have to add much needed context. All 4 of his wins were against either a champion in Oliveira or title challengers in Gaethje and Poirier, arguably one of the most resilient lightweights. They've been at the top for such a long time, so it's not that bad that he lost to them. But he's still 2-4, so I guess you could say the momentum is on the side of Pimblett. But then again, Chandler, he knows that. He commented about it, that he knows he lost a bunch of times in the UFC, but to nothing but the best in the division. And of course, Michael Chandler is known for his athleticism, his otherworldly strength and power, but he's also known for another thing. His fight IQ is kind of non-existent. He, if there's a chance to do a wrong thing in a fight, he does it. I mean, he's a fun guy to watch. I mean, some people call him a cheater, which I don't know. He eye-poked a few people. He hit Oliver in the back of the head a couple times. Fair enough. Fair criticisms. Obviously, those are illegal strikes. So that's something to definitely comment about. But Chandler's also 38. I mean, he also did hurt Oliveira in his last fight after technically just being dominated the whole fight. But then again, he was gone from the octagon for 2 years, basically to the day too. So obviously, ring rust would play a factor in that fight. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't know. Chandler's still an explosive, powerful striker. Like, that's not gone due to his age. He still has it, which is very weird, to be honest. You would expect a 38-year-old to not move like this, but he does. But Pimblett is known for his ground game. I think his jiu-jitsu. So, obviously, there could be a chance where Chandler just gets caught in a submission, which is very much possible considering Chandler, like I said, if there's a chance to do a wrong thing, well, he will most likely do it. But screw it, we're going for Chandler. We're picking Chandler by second round stoppage victory, knocking out Patty the Batty, which to be honest is probably not the safest choice. You know, you never know. Chandler might, I don't know, slip on a rock and fall into a submission. But yeah, I got Chandler beating him. I think because he has too much experience. And he looked not useful in his last fights, but he definitely looks like he still has a lot in the tank. And the quality of opponents he's fought, he's been in the fights for all of them. He hurt Oliveira twice. He did pretty good against Gaethje and Poirier. Of course, he still lost, but he did good. So I don't know. I just think the experience and the fact that Chandler's still explosive, it just favors him. So yeah, just give me Chandler by second round stoppage victory. And in the main event, Alexander Volkanovski will take on Diego Lopes for the vacant featherweight title. And of course, Diego Lopes is 26-6, 10 wins by way of knockout, 12 submission wins, and 4 decisions. It has not been the distance that often. Now, of course, his 6 losses are 2 by knockout and 4 by decision. Now, of course, people love this guy. You know, he's a fan favorite. He's an explosive fighter. And although his last 2 fights came by decision, he has been in quite a bit of a stoppage streak. Now, of course, once again, Diego Lopes is coming off of the victory against Brian Ortega, where he basically knocked him out and then resuscitated him with 2 punches, which people keep talking about, which, to be fair, it's an interesting thing. He also beat people like Dan Ige. Okay, I finally learned how to say it's Ige, not Ige. But his UFC debut, he lost to Movsar Evlov, or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Well, it was a unanimous decision, but people say that doesn't count because it was a late replacement fight, which I guess that makes sense. But he still lost, so. But he's taking on the former featherweight world champion Alexander the Great Volkanovski. 26-4, 13 wins by way of knockout, 3 submission wins, and 10 decisions. 4 losses, 3 by knockout, and 1 by decision. So yeah, he's been stopped quite a bit of times. Now, of course, his stoppage losses have come back in 2013 by Corey Nelson, so it's been quite a bit of time. And then Islam Makhachev in the rematch, a late replacement fight, and then Ilia Topuria, where he was stopped again. And of course, Volkanovski is seen as one of the greatest featherweights to ever hold the belt. He's beaten people like, of course, Jose Aldo, former featherweight world champion, Max Holloway 3 times, once again, former world champion, Brian Ortega, who was seen as good at the time, obviously. So, obviously, Volkanovski has beaten the better Ortega than Lopes. He's also beaten the Korean Zombie and Yair Rodriguez. So, obviously, the resume experience favors Volkanovski. But the thing is, we can't just ignore the fact that he got knocked out twice. And he's 36. And this whole little stat like, oh, fighters after a certain age, they just can't get the belt anymore. And that, unfortunately, now includes Volkanovski. Now, of course, one thing about these guys is that Volkanovski, he knows how to take people into deep waters. That's just something he knows how to do. If you're known as this experienced stoppage artist, he knows how to kind of avoid that and take you into unknown territory and drown you, of course. Diego Lopes is kind of one of those people for this whole fact. Although Lopes is a very explosive fighter and he has a one-shot knockout power, that kind of only lasts for like a round and like a half, maybe 2 maximum. But after that, no, he's kind of like a match. It's on fire, but not for long. You know, it burns out quickly. Probably not the best analogy, but we'll use it. But like I said, Diego Lopes is one explosive, strong fighter in the early rounds, and of course, Volkanovski has been stopped in under 2 rounds twice, that being Topuria and Makhachev. So Lopes has a pretty good shot of knocking out Volkanovski in those rounds. But the difference is, Lopes has fought some good people, like I said, but not like high-level strikers or well-rounded fighters like someone like Volkanovski. Volkanovski can take you to the ground like he did Yair Rodriguez. I mean, he can't really submit you. He's not known for his submission. But he knows how to ground and pound, right? He knows how to really nullify momentum gains, if that makes any sense. Like, if you're going to try to knock out Volkanovski, you need to do it with 1 strike. Because if not, he will come after you. He will make you pay. Now, of course, the one I got winning this fight is, although Volkanovski has everything in his favor, we also can't ignore the fact that he's 36. and it's coming off of 2 stoppage losses. That's just something you can't just ignore. But the one good thing is that he has been out of the ring for around a year, which of course most of the time does not benefit fighters for being out for so long. But for someone coming off of 2 stoppage losses, it is a pretty good. Pretty good, you get time to recover, of course. Get your mind in the game again if something happened, obviously. You'll get your mentality right, get back into the motion. It's long enough to recover, but not too long where, ring rust will be a huge factor. But it's very interesting because Volkanovski is a better fighter. Everyone knows that. Volkanovski is a better fighter. If this fight was like 4 years ago, it wouldn't really be that much of a nail biter. Like, Volkanovski's gonna dominate this guy. Not anymore. It's a different fight. Give me Diego Lopes by submission. That's right. We've been talking about how explosive Diego Lopes is on the feet, but he's also known for his submission game. Give me Diego Lopes submitting Volkanovski in the 4th round. I know I said he's only explosive in the early rounds, but whatever. Lopes by 4th round submission win. And I got Michael Chandler knocking out Paddy the Baddy Pimblett in the 2nd round. Very interesting matchups. Could go either way. You obviously have the guy that has way more experience, the better resume. But you got the younger guy with the momentum on his side and obviously the youthfulness on his side. And you're wondering if it's finally time that Father Time claims another victim, basically. But yeah, give me Lopes and give me Michael Chandler. But anyways, who do you think are winning these fights? Leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear them, and I'll catch you in the next one.